All right, football heads, welcome in Noob Football Picks Week 11. It's crazy that we're already in Week 11. I feel like that like you get like Week 1, 2, and 3. It kind of just it's still new, and then it just you snap your fingers and we're past the halfway point.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's crazy, and it sucks. It's sad because that means it's less football left.
Yeah, but both our teams in good position to maybe get some extra football games come playoff time. So we are going to
I
do
mean,
that at the end of today's show. We're going to pick the games like we usually do, and then we got a little exercise, a little game picking our own playoff fields. Now that we're in the second half, man.
yeah, we're halfway there, home stretch. Just making sure that we get to the playoffs, like you said. Hopefully, we do. I mean, I have no doubt that both of our teams are able to get there. We just got to watch out for those guys in the hunt.
Yeah, especially in the NFC, we're both NFC team fans. The
Yep,
NFC much more loaded than the AFC this year.
definitely.
Like I feel like you could argue at the top, maybe the AFC has a little more weight at the top, but even then, it's like Detroit and Kansas City kind of in a class of their own. And like the NFC, you still got Philly, Minnesota are both 7-2. The Packers 6-3. They kind of had some weird shit early and really have only lost to the Lions in the last stretch of games. So like I don't know. And then the middle is much better in the NFC.
I mean, you got top of the AFC. It's like it's the top. They're tough teams, and then it's just like a fall off. It was just a bunch of crappy teams. The NFC is more balanced. We're like they have the top teams, they got the really good teams, and then they got the really crappy teams, and then you have the fucking Giants and Panthers.
All right, let's get into the games. I got a couple more points on the middle of the NFC, but I thought let's wait for the playoff game. Um, Thursday night, tomorrow night, as recording, we get to start hot. Your Philadelphia Eagles playing host to the Washington Commanders. The Commanders have been leading the division all year. All of a sudden, now they're in second place. They got a chance to get back in front or fall a game and a half behind and have that loss to the Eagles on their schedule. So who you like in this one?
Hey, it's a battle for the top of the NFC East. I mean, I gotta pick my Eagles, man. They have momentum. They are flying high. That defense is working hard. That defense is shutting up offenses all around. The past 5 games, you know how many points they have allowed? What's the average? Less than 10 points. Like, yeah, you can say, oh yeah, they're not facing anybody. Like, the people are saying that's fine, but this is the NFL. To not allow your teams to get more than 10 points on average, it's a fucking big deal. Okay, we're doing really good on defense, and I think that's going to be the key to victory against the Commanders. It's gonna be tough because the Commanders always give the Eagles a hard time, even when they were not doing good offensively. Defensively, they always give us a hard time. This is gonna be, in my opinion, a defensive game, and I believe that the Eagles are gonna get it done because their defense is just a little bit better. Just being
Yeah,
modest.
I'm on the Eagles for sure on this one. I was just arguing with my friend Co. He's picking the Commanders. He's taking Commanders money line. I said, "You're out of your mind." Eagles
He's
all the
just
way.
salty about Saquon because he's a Giants fan.
Yeah, but you can't afford to be salty when you're making bets, unless you're me. But I think I get where he's coming from, but I've said it all year. Neither one of these teams has really beaten anyone significant. The Eagles they beat the Bengals and they
It's a
beat them
fair point.
bad. So
It,
like
it's a fair
that's
point.
their defense held Joe Burrow and Jamar to 17 points. And in this stretch where Joe Burrow is playing absolutely out of his mind right now, then they beat up on a bunch of bad teams, which you're supposed to do. It feels like they're past that stretch where even when they were winning, there was still like, it feels weird, it feels off. Like nothing feels off right now. You beat the brakes off the Cowboys last week. You come into this and like the Commanders, they don't have the same experience. Like you still have a lot of people on the Eagles roster that they played in that Super Bowl a couple years ago. They got the best player on the field, in my opinion, in Saquon Barkley. They got probably the two or three of the top 4 units in the game. Like you got a great offensive line. You said Mailata's back this week, right?
He's been taking up the IR. He had full practice today, so
Okay,
the
so
chances of him coming into playing on tomorrow is extremely high. Not
yeah, I
confirmed
mean,
yet.
it sucks that it's a short week, so he gets less time. So maybe he won't be in, maybe he will. But either way, their offensive line, strong unit. Their defensive backfield, I feel like, has been playing really well. They got the pieces to rush the passer. You got Saquon Barkley with the offensive line for a great run game. And the Commanders got some great units, but the Eagles, to me, they got all the tiebreakers for this. Neither one of them really beaten anyone, and they're in Philly. I think it should be a good game. The Eagles have struggled the last few years with the Commanders, but it's a different team, different coach, different quarterback, so you can't really carry that over. I like the Eagles here for sure.
Definitely, fly Eagles fly.
All right, now we go to Sunday, and I'm gonna start with
But hold on, before you start with the early slate, there's
yeah.
8 games at 1 o'clock. 8 games.
How many are at 1 o'clock? Only 3. I hate when they do this. Give me more options. Although we got Chiefs Bills in the late afternoon schedule, so like all eyes are going to be on that.
Of
Regardless.
course, of course. But at the same time, like like spread them out a little bit. You said it a couple of weeks ago. Like they definitely should spread them out a little bit. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, give me at least 4 options in the late
Yeah.
afternoon. 1 o'clock games, 10 a.m. if you're on Pacific Coast time. My 7-2 Minnesota Vikings taking on my 2-7 Tennessee Titans. Minnesota 6-point favorite, 39.5 for the over under. You like the Vikings or you like the Titans?
I mean, come on. I'm not gonna pick the underdog here. I'm picking the Vikings. It's just it's the Titans haven't figured out who they are yet and haven't figured out what their offense is. So yeah, it's Vikings. Obviously, even though they have struggled the past couple of weeks, I think they're still gonna be able to get it done easily against the Titans.
I, as custom, will not pick this game, and I will say, and we joked about it before I started recording, that the Titans have a chance to do the funniest thing ever. And as soon as they fuck up all the potential for any of my futures bets hitting, say, you know what? Let's win this week. The Vikings should beat them. Sam Darnold threw 3 interceptions, 2 of them in the end zone, all 3 in the red zone last week, and they still won. Their defense, unless you're playing a top 8 quarterback with like a top 5 to 8 offensive coach, nobody has really been able to handle that defense. Whether it's Will Levis, Mason Rudolph, whoever, they should be able to feast. But the one thing that scares me is, and this is part of my prediction for the Titans before the season, is I love those war daddies up front, man. Jeffrey Simmons, the planet-sized mutant Tavondre Sweat, my boy. So they still got those pieces in there. Aaron Jones, he had the rib injury last week, and he came back, finished the game, but is he going to be 100%? I don't know how confident you feel in Cam Akers or Ty Chandler. So, like, they have a chance to slow down and stop the run game early, force Minnesota to feel like they got to rely on the pass with a coach who was a quarterback who's going to want to pass the ball anyway. And then if they got L'Jarius Sneed on the outside, force Sam Darnold. Teams have stopped blitzing Sam Darnold and they started dropping more into coverage and forcing him to like read a defense and fit things into tight windows as opposed to some of blitzes just throw to where the blitzer is coming from. So teams have had some success doing that. So there's a blueprint there for the Titans to make this difficult for the Vikings, like the Jags did last week, but the
And
Vikings
you
should handle business.
and you're giving it to them right now. If somebody from the Titans is watching this show, you should check out that blueprint because he just gave it to you.
Listen, they're watching the tape, and it can't stop 18, baby. It can't stop Jettas. He's gonna, although he did have a fairly pedestrian game. I think 5 for 48 last week, and they were throwing everything and the kitchen sink at him in coverage, and Darnold was just locking on, just fine Addison. They were, I mean, shredding shredding the Jaguars, throwing to Hawkinson, throwing to Josh Oliver, had a career high 58 snaps. Take what's there. Ain't nothing wrong with that. They've moved the ball with ease the last several weeks, so they should be able to handle the Titans.
Sorry, Will Levis.
Yeah, he had a sneaky good game last week. Just
Yeah,
looking at the counting stats, no turnovers, 2 touchdowns. He was like 18 for 24 or something like that.
that buy
Nothing
was beneficial.
crazy, but
That
yeah.
buy was beneficial. Definitely. He came back. He did lose the first game. He did. Who did he face a week after the bye? They beat the Patriots. They came from the bye and beat the Patriots, and they've been doing all right. I guess ever since. I don't know. Am I? No, I'm wrong. Don't worry about me. I don't know when they got the bye. I thought they were on bye. I think it was earlier than that. It was like week 7. Anyway, yeah, Will Levis, good for the guy. Not gonna beat the Vikings. Sorry. Next.
All right, next up, huge, massive. There's several game of the week candidates this week. Another 7-2 versus 7-3 divisional matchup. Baltimore Ravens headed to Pittsburgh to take on who I feel like nobody has acknowledged this entire season, the AFC North leading Pittsburgh Steelers, and have been leading it the entire time. Ravens, Steelers, who you got?
Listen, this might be the game of the slate. I mean, the 1 o'clock slate. This is a game to watch. If you're gonna watch a football game, I don't care who your team is. I mean, if your team is playing, I mean, I understand, but if your team is not playing, that's the game you should watch. Mike Tomlin is out coaching everybody. I don't care about Andy Reid. I know what you said in your analysis last week. Mike Tomlin is getting shit done. The way they took care of the Commanders last week, the way they made him jump so easily, that doesn't happen often. It's very, very, very rare when get someone with the oldest trick in the book. I think Tomlin's doing a fantastic job as a coach. I think Russell Wilson is playing well. I think the defense is still playing well. So I am picking the Steelers.
Oh man, I was anticipating you picking the Ravens because I was all ready to pick the Steelers. Because everything you said, like Mike Tomlin's doing an excellent coaching job. If they got a big win over a 7-2 team entering last week in the Commanders. And that was kind of a question with the Steelers. Sorry, who have they really beaten? Well, now they've beaten someone that's good. There was a comeback when they jumped out on them. Then they had to come back. Russ is getting it done undefeated as a starter. It's hard to pick against them because that defense has been so good. And then when they finally weren't good, Russ said, it's all good. And they went down. They scored as many points as they needed to, the exact amount that they needed to win that game. I'm just yammering on because I still don't know who I'm going to pick. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going with the Steelers. I like the Ravens, but let me see if I can pull up this graphic real quick because there was a graphic on how many, like the point differential for each quarter for every single team. And I've been saying this since the beginning, the Baltimore Ravens plus 12 in the first quarter, plus 43 in the second quarter, plus 31 in the third quarter, minus 24 in the fourth quarter. Whereas the Steelers plus 53 in the third quarter, plus 23 in the fourth quarter. So maybe Ravens, good first half. They jump out. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, the Ravens, we've been talking about them all this time. They really are the better team. But then here come the Steelers in the second half. I'm on the Steelers, and I think it's going to be a come-from-behind win, fourth quarter comeback win for the Steelers.
Key to win the game, stop the Ravens' run offense. If you get that done, you're going to get the win. If you stop them from getting the run in, I mean, you got Derrick Henry, the best running back in the league right now. I could argue with Saquon, but, he has the best numbers, so he's doing great. Then you got Lamar. Just make sure you stop the running game. You stop the running game, you're going to get a shot at winning this game easily. Either way, it's going to be a tough game for both teams, and I can't wait to watch it because I know it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I don't know if you're stopping the run game, but you might be able to slow it down. But the Vikings' number one run defense on not a ton of attempts. Ravens number 2, but the Steelers are the 4th best run defense in terms of how many yards they've given up. They only give up 3.8 yards a carry. They've only given up 7 rushing touchdowns, which I guess probably mid-pack, not terrible. Nah, that's pretty good.
What's the number one run defense?
Minnesota Vikings.
Ah, nice.
In terms of yards given up, number 1 in terms of yards per carry, which is probably a little bit better of an indicator, is the Ravens at 3.4. So, but Steelers, again, top 5 run defense, really, no matter how you slice it. They've forced 4 fumbles. So, again, I don't think you're stopping Derrick Henry, but this is going to be the hardest test the Ravens have had in terms of a run defense since week 1 against the Chiefs.
People have called the Steelers a pretender instead of a contender. Man, they're the dark horse of this competition this year. They are an issue if you're facing them. So watch out for the Steelers.
Yeah, I think if they beat the Ravens this week, I don't think anybody's going to be ignoring them. But I think we got to give them their due after that.
If they beat the Ravens, they're going to lose the week next because every time a good team beats another great team, they start hyping them up and then they lose the next week, which is because of love
that's
football.
how the media works.
Yep.
Speaking of teams that I guess this doesn't really apply to them because people keep hyping them up and they just keep finding ways to win. The Lions at 8-1, coming off I guess semi-controversial if you're Adam at the very least, but a hard-fought come-from-behind victory that won me about $55. The Detroit Lions hosting the 2-8 Jaguars. I don't have any doubt where you're going with this one.
I mean, come on. I feel bad for Doug Peterson. I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. I don't feel bad for the Cons. But yeah, the Lions are going to dominate this game. And the Jaguars probably will score a couple of points. I'm not going to say it's going to be, that type of game where they just get run over like a freight train just pass through. But it will almost get to that point. I believe that Lions, if they don't get in their own way, which was what almost happened last week, I think they can get it done. And it's a no-brainer. The Lions are going to win this.
Yeah, Lions. I mean, I assume Mac Jones is playing again. Mac Jones had the worst QBR in the league last week against the Vikings.
Lawrence is not expected, I believe, to play.
Okay. But either way, I mean, you got to pick the Lions. If you're going to pick against the Lions, you got to pick a team like Houston last week. They're at home. They're a good team, talent. They're winning games. Like,
they lost.
Picking the Jags.
They lost because of those horrible red pants. Jersey, helmet, they look nice.
No,
you're
way off on it. You're way off on this. The all reds, that shit was fuego. Fucking, I don't know about the metallic helmet. That I'm still like debating on, but their logo is a bull. They were seeing red. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I'm picking the Lions. I'm going to dissect this. I've gone on at length about why I like the Lions. I was the first man in football media that is not a Detroit fan or someone who covers Detroit to declare that they were the best team in football. I maintain that fact, even though they flirted with it last week. I'm on the Lions. I don't know about the 13.5-point spread, but also they've beaten teams and hung 50 and beat them by like 35 points. So it's possible. Next up, the 4-5 Rams coming off a tough, rough guy. Sneaky could be one that you look at the end of the season and say, fuck, if they had beaten Dolphins on that Monday night, they'd be in the playoffs. But they're 4-5. The Rams headed to New England to take on the 3-7 Pats, coming off a pretty thorough, I wouldn't say beat down, but just a thorough win at every level with all units against the Bears last week. Rams at Patriots. Who you like here?
I'm picking the Rams. I think they're going to be bouncing back from that loss last week. That loss I think it caught everybody off guard. I think most people were expecting the Rams to win. We're not expecting the Dolphins to get it done. Good on the Dolphins, good for them. But yeah, I'm picking the Rams to bounce back. No particular reason except for the fact that I think they just have all the pieces together at the same time, and I think they know what they're doing. Uh, Patriots, they're still figuring it out. They still don't know what they're doing. It's still rebuilding. They're still trying to figure out. They won last week. They beat another rookie quarterback, another team that's also rebuilding. They just got the upper hand, and it was their night. It was their Sunday. So, but I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Rams.
This is a sneaky tough one. In your mind, I feel like it's like, oh, the Rams, they're much better than the Patriots, even if they're still kind of in the middle. But they only have one more win than the Patriots. They got 4 wins. Pats have 3. So you can't just like dismiss it, I don't think. The Patriots, again, every time we're feeling like, oh, they're frisky, then they come out and get blown out. Or, oh, they might be figuring some things out, putting some things together, then they get blown out. But their defense has been playing really well. They're going to need that against the Rams. The Rams defense, not bad, not great. They didn't give up a ton of points on Monday night, but it was a very sloppy game. It was very much like a Thursday night football game on a Monday night. So the Dolphins could have hung more points on them. I believe the Dolphins scored on all of their second half possessions. So I don't know if the Patriots defense better than the Rams offense. Or better than the Rams defense. Rams offense better than the Pats defense. Or the Rams offense, I don't know, is better than the Pats defense. But
so who are you picking?
I'm talking through it because I'm going to pick the Rams because they are a better team and they have it more figured out, and they got the more experienced coach. They got the more experienced quarterback. Super Bowl winning on both fronts. But it's a 5-point spread. I'd lean toward taking the Patriots to cover the spread in like a 3-point game, kind of a low-scoring affair maybe. But I think the Patriots have a chance. They do. Drake May, they're doing with Drake May what I've been saying that Chicago should be doing with Caleb Williams. They're not asking him to be a hero until you're at the end of the game and you're in a situation where you need to be the hero, or you're going to lose the game. So I think they're managing him well. They're running the ball with Ramondre Stevenson, and their defense has been playing really good. But I am going to pick the Rams.
The Patriots organization is more competent than the Bears organization, so that's expected from them. So good for May last week. Look for Mayo as well, and I'm still sticking with the Rams. I agree with everything you just said.
I'm rooting for the Pats because it's good for the Vikings, but I think the Rams will edge this one out after a tough loss last week.
Yeah.
Now we got the 2-7 Browns, 3-7 Saints coming off an upset of the Falcons last week. I did not see coming. The bad vibes team of the year thus far, and they get a big win. So good for them.
Yeah,
Browns or Saints.
They fired their head coach. They got that win, but they're not winning this week. I think the Browns are getting this done. The Browns just coming up from the bye. They wanted more. They needed more. They're playing with a new quarterback, Jameis Winston. I'm picking the Browns. I think they're gonna get that done. They dressed it. They're fine. They're not having to deal with a new coach, a new system. So I'm picking the Browns.
Yeah, I talked fairly at length about this when I was doing the powerless rankings last week, trying to decide what are the teams that could feasibly end up with the number 1 overall pick when it's all said and done. And I was on the Browns then. I'm still on the Browns now. Yes, the Saints had a nice bounce back win, but usually that's, you got some juice from the interim coach, and it's a dead cat bounce. Like, you bottom out, you bounce back, but you're not bouncing back up. It's just your dead body hits the ground, and because it's falling from so far, it bounces a little bit. So I think they're going to lose this week. I think the Browns, just more talent on the roster. They should have a better defense. Jameis Winston, we got good Jameis. We got bad Jameis. Maybe this week we get both Jameis, or maybe we're back to good Jameis. But either way, I think it's enough to outduel the Saints. I don't have any confidence in the Saints even after last week, so I'm on the Browns.
No, agreed.
Saints 1-point favorite at home. Negligible. Bet the money line, you cowards. I'm talking to you, Co. I know you're listening. All right. Next up, we got the 4-6 Colts at the 3-7 New York Football Jets of New Jersey, and the ghost, the corpse, the husk of Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, this would have been the Flacco versus Rodgers game, but no, the Colts are starting Anthony Richardson officially. For that reason, and that reason only, I'm picking the Jets.
I'm right there with you. I mean, we said it last week. I picked the Jets, and I said, listen, it's either they're starting to gel and they figured it out and they're going to win a few games here against winnable opponents, or they're just going to be one of these back and forth teams. And they proved it last week. They're just going to be one of these back and forth teams. They're not as bad as they looked last week against the Cardinals. Cardinals just jumped out on them, and it was literally touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Like the Jets, it was 14-6 after 4 drives, 2 each. Cardinals get another touchdown, and then the wheels kind of fell off after that for the Jets. But like you said, the Colts putting Anthony Richardson out there, lowest completion percentage in the league, lowest completion percentage in God knows how long, under pressure, against the blitz, and he's got to play the Jets defense. Now, I know the Jets defense hasn't been nearly as good this year as the past couple of years. I know they haven't been nearly as good since Bob Saleh got fired. They've actually bottomed out pretty bad since Bob Saleh got fired because you took the defensive coordinator and also made him the head coach. But that's a whole other fucking situation. But it's a tough spot for Richardson. I think the Jets are going to be one of these back and forth teams. They got embarrassed last week. They're hungry. They're at home. Fireman Ed's going to be rounding up all the troops, even if he can't get on the Jumbotron anymore for reasons that he thinks are conspiratorial. The Colts aren't very good. Yes, they put up 20 points last week. They kind of, they got a garbage time touchdown late. They had the lead on the Bills. They were competing in the first half, but Anthony Richardson against the Jets defense, I don't think it's going to happen. Colts defense, not great. They're letting teams move the ball on them. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to move the ball. I think they bounce back. I think the Jets get a win here.
I got a prediction for this game.
Go for it.
Joe Flacco's going to be put in at some point.
Not a bad prediction. If you're already waffling this hard, like who's to say you're not going to say, you know what? Fuck it.
I mean, they're not going to waffle as hard as the Cowboys did last week when they fucking kept changing between Rush and Lance.
Yeah, I don't know. It's honestly what the Colts are doing now is kind of it's
in the same lane.
You don't want to do this. You should have just either stuck with Anthony Richardson or said, you know what, we're going to sit him for a couple years and let him learn and let him start next year. But like all this back and forth shit, like it's not helping anyone. You're not winning games. Yeah, you're still in the playoff hunt because the AFC wildcard situation is abysmal, but like you're not winning games. You didn't win games with Flacco. They put Flacco in, they lose 2 straight. You weren't winning games with Anthony Richardson. All this did was put doubt in everyone's minds and make everyone look worse than they actually were, and they already looked bad. So I'm on the Jets. Let's get it done. Let's go New Jersey. All right.
Jets.
Next, we got a game I will not watch. The 2-7 Raiders, 3-6 Dolphins coming off a win. Adam is on the record. He thinks the Dolphins are going to get the 7 seed in the AFC, and the fact that they're 3-6 and they're only, I think, 1 game out in the win column is atrocious. Who you like? Dolphins, Raiders in Miami. We know where this is going.
Nah. 2 words. Crosby and Minshew Mania. I'm picking the Raiders.
That's 4 words, but
I mean, 2 words for Crosby and Minshew Mania, which is,
all right. Whatever you say. You can take the I'm taking the Dolphins. Dolphins got too many weapons. They got Tua, they got Tyreek, they got Jalen Waddle, Zach Seiler back on the defensive side of the ball. I don't love the Dolphins. Obviously, I've been the poster child for the Dolphins aren't going to do shit this year. I don't want them to make the playoffs, so I am correct in saying that they're not going to make the playoffs. But the Raiders are a mess. The smoke signals are in the air. Shedeur Sanders is trying to get himself to Vegas. The Raiders are going to be complicit in allowing that to happen. Crosby, yes, stud, can't win it by himself. I love Gardner Minshew. I'm the biggest Gardner Minshew fan on the planet. I've been pounding his drum for a long time. He looks great as a Raider, but this team sucks. They want to suck, at least organizationally. They want Shedeur Sanders. They are not going to win this game. They're not going to waste an opportunity to go all the way down to Miami and lose a football game. So I'm on the Dolphins. Dolphins are favored by 7 points. That's how bad the Raiders are, dude. You want to pick the Raiders?
I'm still picking the Raiders. Insane. You'll see. Come Sunday, you'll see.
Hey, you'll see on draft day when they take the first quarterback off the board, Shedeur Sanders, and he looks fantastic in the black and silver.
He probably will, yeah.
All right, we got the last 1 o'clock, 10 a.m., wherever the hell you are, noon if you're in the central time zone. Green Bay Packers 6-3 coming off a bye, traveling to Soldier Field, Chicago to take on the 4-5 floundering Chicago Bears, fresh off firing Shane Waldron and putting all the blame on him.
So let the gauntlet begin for Chicago. Unfortunately, I don't see things going their way this week. I believe the Packers are going to get this win, and they're going to be in their playoff contention to stay where they are right now.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Packers coming off a bye. Like I said, I feel like going back to early in the season, like their one real prominent loss recently was to Detroit. And it was in the rain, and Jordan Love was hurt. They had a bye, get healthy a little bit. They're a better team than Chicago. Chicago, now after the Saints win, Chicago got to be the bad vibes team of the league right now. Green Bay still looking to bounce back from that Detroit loss. 2 weeks to kind of stew in it. Be like, yeah, fuck this. We're better than that. And then take that, learn from it, apply it, get ready, prep. Green Bay is going to go into Chicago. Aaron Rodgers might not be there, but the Chicago Bears are on loan to Jordan Love from Aaron Rodgers. The ownership is on loan. He's the property manager right now. So I'm on Green Bay. I don't like it because the Bears losing again. Then they got to host Minnesota next week. And it's like at some point they got to win a game, right? But they got Packers, Vikings, Lions, 49ers, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks at home, and then at Green Bay to end the season.
And that might be
how many games is Chicago going to win out of that? Like if they were 5-4, they were 6-3, like, yeah, they could win some of these. They've lost 3 straight. Who you beating? You got to beat Green Bay? You got to beat Minnesota? You got to beat Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit? Like maybe the Thursday night game against the Seahawks, but like the Bears might fuck around and win 5 games this year. That's crazy. They fucked themselves up. They needed to win those games. You needed confidence heading into the schedule. Right now they got fucking crisis. And teams that can get after the quarterback. And Caleb Williams is taking crazy sacks right now.
And the 49ers is getting stronger and healthier by the minute.
Yes, they are. By the time that game comes around, December 8th, Chicago might be fucked. They need one of these next 2 games, if not both, at home against Green Bay and Minnesota. You got to get at least one of those to not feel like your entire season is just spiraling down the toilet.
Oh, man. I feel bad for Caleb, but that's the Bears organization for you. They just put these rookie quarterbacks in these horrible situations from the get-go.
Just mismanagement, man.
Yep.
All right, now we're on to the late afternoon games, the 4 o'clock games. 6-4 Atlanta Falcons headed to the Mile High City to take on the 5-5, should be 6-4.
The frisky Broncos.
Blow it at the fucking end, Denver Broncos. You said it. Who you got?
Listen, this one's a tough one because the Broncos are I mean, they're 5-5 right now, but they have been playing really well. And the Falcons, they started off hot. They have fizzled a little bit, uh, but it was tough to pick a winner. I'm going with the Falcons just because they got it down. I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback at this stage. And I think as a whole, the team is better than the Broncos. I mean, I think it all depends on the coaching. I think if Sean Payton is able to get it done, he can, and he can. But I have no faith that they are able to stand, and have as much of a good performance as they did last week against the Falcons.
Listen, the Falcons and the Broncos, both tough losses last week. I would say the Broncos much more so. The Falcons, it was in hand. It was another Kirk Cousins 4th and 4. Let me dump it off short of the sticks situation. Falcons fans can finally feel what that feels like. Say that 5 times fast. But the Falcons, look, they're 6 and 4. They're on top of the division. They should bounce back. The Broncos, they got a good defense. They've been playing pretty damn solid ball. Bo Nix is doing his thing. This game could really go either way. I was coming in, I was going to pick the Falcons, and now I feel like you and I are picking too many of the same teams. And I was texting with Co earlier, and we were going back and forth. I said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled around. Won't get fooled again. We'll fix that in post. But fuck it, I'm doubling down Broncos country. Let's ride. We're in Denver. We're in the Mile High City. They can't come from the Magic City and play in that altitude. Can't happen. We can't have it. You held the Kansas City Chiefs to 16 points last week? You had them right where you want them. They did exactly what I said you got to do. You got the ball in your hands with the lead or getting ready to go into the lead in a fairly easy way, a chip shot field goal. Now, Kansas City, they saw it on tape. This guy's been put on his ass before, and they targeted a weak spot. But are the Falcons that focused? Are they targeting weak spots? I don't think so. The Falcons got no shot. The Broncos are going to handle business. They got the best unit in this game with that defense. They're going to get after Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is going to have a better game than he had last week. No touchdown passes. Kirk's going to throw at least 2 this week. The score might get up in the mid to late 20s. But the Broncos at home, we're riding. Broncos country. Let's fucking ride. I'm doubling down. The Broncos got to get it done. They can't be 5-6. They're too good to be 5-6. They got to be 6-5. Got to happen.
Hit me up when Kirk Cousins is swag surfing in the Colorado mountains, the Rocky Mountains.
We'll see. Like I said, I was going to pick the Falcons, but I'm riding, baby. All right. NFC West matchup. Seattle Seahawks still, I believe they're coming off a bye, right?
Yes, that is correct.
4-5. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. Headed to San Francisco. The 5-4 Niners coming off a frisky, tough Baker Mayfield-fueled near loss. But they still win.
They're starting to get it. Nick Bosa.
Beautiful. Baker will do that, man. Baker, I think they're on bye this week, so we don't get to talk about them. Shouts out Baker Mayfield, man. Baker is a dog, dude. It doesn't matter who's out there. You roll the balls out, he is going to battle until there's zeros on the fucking clock, and I love it.
I still don't believe those are smelling salts that he's fucking smelling. I'm sorry.
Bath salts, baby. He's in it. He ain't never been on a team from Florida, but I'm sure he spent some time in Florida. That dude knows how to have a good time. But the 49ers, they're back on the right side of 500. They're starting to put it together a little bit. They might not be surging. They might not look like a dominant team right now. But the Seahawks, another bad vibes team. I'm on the Niners at home. Who you on?
It's another game we would pick the same team. I'm picking the Niners. I would never pick the Seahawks again. They have fucked me twice this year. I'm not going to pick them again. Yeah, like you said, Niners are they have momentum right now. They are getting the groove back. They are getting their players back. So they are going to continue to win. Like you said, they're not looking as the most dominant team right now, but that happens when you have a lot of injuries and you're trying to get your players back in shape. So it usually the worst things that can happen is the players don't play as well again. Right now, I think they just still have some issues, but I think they're doing a really good job at it. So I'm picking the Niners. I think they're going to continue the momentum. I think they're going to continue winning.
Over under at 48.5. I kind of like the over on that. If I could see like a 28-24 game here, something like
Hey,
that.
divisional rivalry. Take the records out the window.
Yeah. Also, in regards to you and the Seahawks, I got to give myself a second chance. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again. There we go. Nailed it. Fucking just crushed it. Unbelievable. Speaking of crushing, 9-0 Kansas City Chiefs, literally anything they have to do to win a football game, they will do it, including figuring out the weak spot on an offensive line, on a special teams, on a kicking unit, and saying, we're just going to overload this one guy if we need to block a kick, and we're going to block the kick. And then sure enough, it came down to they had to do that, and they blocked the fucking kick. But the 9-0 Chiefs this week, much bigger test. They got to go to Western New York, to Buffalo, dealing with Bills Mafia. There's going to be people getting choke slammed off of RVs, through tables, getting splattered with ketchup and mustard. Chiefs are going to be driving into the fucking arena, driving into the stadium, looking at the chaos ensuing around them. And they're not going to know what hit them because they got to beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. They're old rivals, old foes. Who you like? Chiefs, Bills, possibly the game of the year thus far, dare I say.
I'm seeing it right now. Today, Wednesday, was it 13th of November, 2024? The Buffalo Bills are going to break the streak. They are going to beat the Chiefs. They're going to make them go 9-1. The Buffalo Bills are going to get their revenge game from this what happened in the playoffs last season. Buffalo Bills all day.
Now, here's the thing. I was prepared to pick the Bills, but I don't want to just pick another game that you picked.
Jesus Christ.
So there's two ways I can go here. Number one is to say the Kansas City Chiefs have some sort of dark voodoo magic that it's just going to mystically, mysteriously, magically create a win for them in whatever way they need to win it. But
you know what that magic is? Way. You know what the magic is? Patrick Mahomes asking the refs to let him know what the defensive players are close to him.
Well, that ain't helping block that kick, but I ain't going that way anyway. The way I'm going is Buffalo Bills are going to win, and they're going to win big. Bills by double digits. They're 2-point favorites. I'm going way over. Way over. This is going to be a classic Josh Allen came to fuck your shit up game, put the foot on the throat. It ain't going to be a game late where they can get a call from the refs. It ain't going to be a game late when we can block a field goal and have some bullshit happen. It ain't going to be a game late. It ain't going to be a game in the third quarter. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are going to put foots in asses on Sunday. And we're all going to be watching America's Game of the Week, unless it's on CBS, which it is. So it's going to be whatever the hell the Tony Romo game is called for CBS. We're all going to be tuned in. 45.5 over under. Guess what? Bills are covering that by themselves. They're going to hang at least 46 on the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. Watch out. Watch out.
I don't know about the last part, but Josh Allen is definitely going to show Patrick Mahomes what an MVP quarterback looks like.
Oh, yeah. MVP Josh Allen. You heard it here first, second, third, fourth, every fucking week since until it happens, because it's happening. Get used to it. All right. Next up, Sunday Night Football on NBC and Peacock. 4-6 Cincinnati Bengals headed to City of Angels, Los Angeles, to take on the Chargers, who are a very quiet, in part because they haven't fucking beaten anyone, but a very quiet 6-3. Bengals, Chargers, Sunday Night Football. Who you like?
I'm liking John Harbaugh. Every time we're talking to the Chargers, I'm just going to say Harbaugh. Is it John or Jim? It's Jim, right?
Jim.
I said John. My bad. My bad, Ravens. I like Jim Harbaugh. He's doing a great job coaching this team from what it was a year ago, where the Chargers were just a mess, and the years prior to that as well. He's building something, and it's a slow build, and they're slowly going, and it's like you said, they're quietly at 6-3 because they haven't been a big team. They haven't had a huge win either. But I'm picking the Chargers, even though I think the Bengals are going to give them a fight. I think the Chargers are going to get it done this week. I think Jim Harbaugh is an excellent coach, and he's doing wonders for this Chargers team.
I mean, it's tough to bet against the Chargers right now. The Bengals, every week, they got Joe Burrow, they got Jamar Chase. You love the talent. You're thinking, all right, this is the week they're gonna win. This is the week they're gonna string a couple wins together, and then they don't get it done. They're coming off a loss. This is kind of a big hinge point. You lose here, and Miami wins. Miami's jumping into the picture. Like, the Bengals need to win this game to stay in that wild card hunt, because they're still in good position to get the 7th seed in the AFC. They need this probably more than the Chargers do. And again, we get enamored by Joe Burrow. We get enamored by Jamar Chase. But let me talk to you about the Chargers defense. They're a top 10 run defense. Granted, they do give up 4.7 yards a carry, but they've given up less than 1,000 yards on the ground. And then their passing defense, they've given up 9 passing touchdowns in 9 games, and they've intercepted the ball 9 times. 9 and 9. So their defense is their defense is playing ball right now. And then offensively, they've been putting up, 24 to 27 points a game. They've been running the ball really well. They got a good committee. Justin Herbert, they haven't been asking him to go crazy, but he's doing what he's got to do. Lad McConkey's been really good all season, and Quentin Johnston's been coming on after a poor rookie season. So offensively, I like them. I feel like they're not killing teams because they don't have to, but they're always like comfortably ahead. It's never like we don't have the capacity to put our foot on someone's throat. It's just we're just going to play under the radar smart football and just beat teams. I like the Chargers in this game. I think they got a better balance of offense and defense. They got strengths on both sides of the ball. The Bengals defense, Jesus, I cannot fucking talk today. The Bengals defense cannot stop anybody. And they ain't going to be able to stop Jim Harbaugh. They ain't going to be able to stop Justin Herbert, J.K. Dobbins, the Gus Bus, Quentin Johnston, Lad McConkey, Josh Palmer. I don't even know if he's healthy right now, but if he is, he's gonna catch a couple touchdowns, guaranteed. Josh Palmer, anytime touchdown, write it down. Unless he's injured, in which case, don't bet it. But it'll void anyway. So Chargers for sure. Bengals, I told you, they're not a threat. They're just gonna tease you all year long. It's gonna be a close game, but the Chargers are gonna pull it out.
Listen, the Chargers lost to the Cardinals in week 7. Let's see, where else have they lost? They have a winning streak, dude. They haven't lost since week 7.
They're under the radar right now. Nobody's talking, and again, because they haven't really beaten anyone. They haven't had high profile games. So this is gonna be a high profile game. This could be they're 7-3. Oh, maybe we should talk about the Chargers, and then they fall flat on their face next week. Let's see.
Because the media overhypes it, and then that's always what's happening.
Oh yeah, they got the Harbaugh Bowl on Monday night next week. Ravens at Chargers, so they're definitely going to beat the Bengals and then lose next week to the Ravens, who are coming off a loss to the Steelers.
All right,
that's my bet.
I'm picking the Chargers as well. So yeah,
got to.
Now Monday Night Football up next.
Monday Night Football on ESPN and ABC. Texans 6-4, coming off the real tough loss, but they get the extra days, right? Or no, that was Sunday Night Football. Never mind. I'm thinking of the week before. Texans 6-4, tough loss, going not too far, just across the state. Dallas Cowboys 3-6. The lights are still blinding.
Hear me out. It was a sunset for the Cowboy. The Cowboy rode into the sunset last week. They couldn't get the job done. They've been playing horribly. Dak is out for the season. They don't know who to put in. Do they put in Cooper Rush? Do they put in Lance?
Doesn't
They don't
matter.
know. It doesn't matter. I think this is the week. This is the week where the Texans beat the living shit out of the Cowboys. Because I'm picking the Texans.
Yeah, I'm on the Texans. It's hard not to be. The Texans are in a good spot. I got a YouTube short that should be coming out pretty soon that kind of goes through this, but I'll go through it again for the Noob Football Pick audience. Their upcoming schedule: Cowboys, Titans, Jags, Dolphins. And then you got the Chiefs, Ravens, and then you finish with the Titans. So they got 4 games in a row here where they should be favored, and they should win. So they can go from 6-4 to 10-4. Even if the Dolphins game goes sideways, you could still be 9-4 headed into your last 4 games.
You have too much faith
Test
in the
yourself.
Dolphins.
It's not that I don't have any faith in them. I told you they're going to be garbage, but I'm telling you, after 20 years, when Adam whispers something in my ear and says, watch out for this, like, usually it fucking happens. So I'm not going to be shocked if they get the 7th seed. They're not going to win a playoff game because if they make the playoffs, they're going to be under 500. But you never know. They got talent. They got Tua. They got everyone. But the Texans, winnable games. The Cowboys are an utter fucking mess right now. They don't know who to start at quarterback, and it doesn't matter who they start at quarterback. It's just the vibes are bad. The team's playing awful. They can't stop anyone. Literally, they hand the ball to Zeke on the goal line, and the ball is just like, no, and just flies out. Like
5 turnovers.
It was awful. It was such a boring game to watch.
Turnovers. It was the Eagles slapping them in the ass and telling them who's your daddy. It was horrible for the Cowboys. I feel bad for Cowboys fans if I were an Eagles fan, but I am, so I don't give a shit. Fuck them. But it's the fucking Cowboys, man. Gary Jones needs to do something, and he needs to do it now. He does not even want to take any single responsibility for this. He doesn't want to. His players can tell him, hey, the sun is blinding. I mean, maybe put up some curtains. Oh, there's not a problem. There's an advantage to it. Dude, come on. You're getting senile. Listen to what's going on. See what's going on around you and figure it out. And if you're not able to figure it out, get someone that does. Jesus Christ.
With the Texans, you got to look at their losses. They got 4 losses. They lost to Detroit last week, best team in football. They lost by 2 points to Green Bay, whose secondary has been picking people off pretty consistently. They lost to the Jets, who, again, from a personnel standpoint, stud, loaded defense. And they lost to the Vikings in week 3, where shit just got out of hand early. And again, the Vikings defense right now, if they're not playing a Super Bowl coach-quarterback combination, their defense is dominating everybody. So, like, the Texans are only losing the teams where the defense can really befuddle
Micah Parsons is not enough.
And, they got pieces on Dallas's defense, but they're not playing well. So, like, why are they all of a sudden going to play well? Yeah, it's they got injuries, they got issues. The Cowboys is an easy team for them to just kind of give up on the season.
Like you say,
expect the narrative to be about them. And it's like, well, we're fucked. We're just going to do podcasts like we are.
Listen, like you always say, it's a bad vibe team right now. It's just bad vibes all over.
Yeah.
I mean, when your starting quarterback says we fucking suck the week he gets injured, yeah, it's bad.
Well, that's the slate. Now we're going to take a look because everyone's past the halfway point. Everyone's played at least 9 games. Go ahead.
Hold on. We got to talk about the teams on bye.
All right. You want to do that first? Go ahead. It's your show.
Yeah, I just want to talk to you just real quick. We got 4 teams on bye: Cardinals, Panthers, Giants, and Buccaneers. Now, who benefits from this bye? I tell you who doesn't benefit by. Cardinals. They have momentum, and they can lose that momentum with this bye. And surprisingly, so do the Panthers. They're on a 2-winning streak. They have won 2 straight games. Surprisingly, out of nowhere. I don't know what's going on, but
red hot Panthers, baby. Hop on board.
Then it does benefit the Giants because that means they don't have to play for a week and they have to embarrass themselves for another week of television. So reorganize. Find some way to make sure that things work. Hold on. Sorry about that. Just reorganize. Find that week to get some rest, reorganize, see what's going on, see if we can fix anything at all, even though I don't think so. Find Tiny Cutlets. And then the Buccaneers, I think it does benefit them. They have injuries. They're coming off a losing streak. So, I think this is going to benefit them for get some rest and maybe, figure some things out for them. So, yeah, benefits the Giants and the Buccaneers. Does not benefit the Cardinals and the Panthers, who are on winning streaks.
All right, now let's talk about playoff teams. I'm going to start with the AFC, and I think we'll start like this. Who do you think – give me your 4 division winners for the AFC. As it stands right now, the Chiefs are the number 1 seed, AFC West 9-0, first in the West. Bills first in the East at 8-2. Steelers first in the North at 7-2. Texans first in the South at 6-4. Obviously, the tightest race there is Steelers, with the Ravens only a half game back.
Listen, I believe the Bills are going to be the number 1 seed, not the Chiefs.
Wow. Well, we're getting closer if they win. They win by double digits.
I believe they're going to be the number 1 seed. The Chiefs, they have this history of not playing well the later half of the season because they just take it easy. And then once the playoffs come in, they go back to what they're doing or what they do best. So I believe the Bills are going to get the number 1 seed unless the Chiefs really want that number 1 seed and then, they win the games because they have to, because the Bills are going to be winning games too. I believe the Bills are going to win the East easily. I don't think the East is, there's no way any other teams in the AFC East is going to win that division. The Bills are 8-2. The rest of the divisions have a combined win games of 9. All right. It's 3-3-3, 3-6, 3-7, 3-7. Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. They're not going to win the division. No way close. When it comes to the North, it's a tough one. Like you said, half game, Steelers, Ravens. I think it all depends on the schedule between 2 teams. I'm not really sure who the Ravens got at the end of the year and who the Steelers got at the end of the year. But I like the Steelers. Like you said, they're the sneaky contenders. I think the Steelers might win the division.
All right. Well, I got the Chiefs at the top. The Chiefs are going to win the West. I don't have any question about that. And even though I'm on the Bills this weekend, I got the Chiefs at the top. The Bills basically already won the East. We gave them the East weeks ago at this point. But the Bills' schedule, they got the Chiefs this week. Then they got the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. Then they got at the Rams, at Detroit.
Easy win. Oof, that's the one that's going to be tough.
I think of these next 4 games, I think they're going to lose 2 of them.
Yeah, Chiefs got to get a cupcake schedule coming up too.
Yeah, so the Chiefs' schedule to end the season is ridiculous.
It's like the NFL said, here's a three-peat, take it.
Yeah, the Chiefs got after the Bills, they got the Panthers, Raiders, then they got the Chargers at home. Browns host the Texans, at Steelers, at Broncos. That's not actually that bad. The Broncos, week 18. Oh, baby. I can't wait. I'm ready for that. I am going to go absolutely insane for that Chiefs-Broncos game. I'm going to come on the show in a Bo Nix jersey with some face paint on. I'm ready to fucking go. But they got some tough games on here. Texans, Steelers, Chargers.
Yeah,
I think the Chargers are going to win that game at Arrowhead.
Hey, if they do, I'm going to be happy for Jim. I didn't mention the South, though. Texans, it's another division that I think is going to be won easily by the one that's leading the division right now. The Colts are right there behind them, but like you said, the whole situation with the quarterback where they haven't been consistent and they don't seem to be able to be consistent, that's going to hurt them. So the Texans are going to win the division easily.
All right, so I'm going Chiefs at the top, Bills number 2, and then
I think Steelers.
I'm picking the Ravens. I'm looking at the schedule. The Ravens, they got the Steelers game this week. They got the Chargers. Then they got the Eagles. But they got a Giants game on here. Then they host the Steelers. Then they got the Texans and the Browns. Whereas the Steelers, they got the 2 Ravens games, they got 2 Browns games, they got a Bengals game, they got to go to Philly, they got to go to Baltimore later in the season. Then second to last game of the season, they're hosting the Chiefs, and then they host the Bengals. I think there's a couple more cupcakes for the Ravens. I think the Ravens and Steelers are going to split. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Eagles in Baltimore, and the Eagles are going to beat the Steelers in Philly. And then I think the Steelers lose to the Chiefs. So I think the Ravens are going to take the division. They're going to win enough games to get the 3 seed. And then, because I think they're going to beat the Texans, I think the Texans will then come in as the 4 seed because nobody else in that division is worth shit right now. So they're going to walk away with that.
Ravens ain't beating the Eagles.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, pal. I don't know. Yeah. Good luck stopping Derrick Henry.
Hey.
And Lamar.
Hey.
And Zay Flowers. Hey, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, and you're going to get it done in the fourth quarter and come back on them because the Ravens will do that. But
yeah.
And I gave you the win in Pittsburgh or against Pittsburgh. Don't come at me acting like I'm just shitting on the Eagles because I picked the Ravens. They got to go to Baltimore, man. 1:25 p.m.
Hey, it's fine. I understand that. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be the game with the best 2 running backs in the league. So it's going to be fun. Even if we lose and I'm pissed off and just sad for the rest of the week, it's going to be fun.
All right, now for the AFC, who do you like for the wild card spots?
Well, right now the wild card is Ravens at 5, Chargers at 6, and Broncos at 7. The ones in the hunt are the Colts, the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Jets. Adam seems to believe that the Dolphins were number 10 right now in the hunt. Have what it takes to be number 7? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Hold on, my bad. This is a fucking roach. What the fuck?
Uh-oh.
Yo, motherfucker, you're not dying? All right. It's dead. Technical difficulties. I'll get the pest control to get in here. Anyways, yeah, I believe the wild card is not going to change that much. I mean, either the Steelers are going to be in the wild card or the Ravens are going to be in the wild card. I think that's that. I think we can agree on that. They're going to be both. You know, they're going to be close. Chargers are definitely making the wild card, and the Broncos they might. The only other team that I can think that might make the wild card, maybe the Browns.
The Browns are 2-7.
No, they're not.
No shot, dude. The Browns?
Oh shit, my bad. I got my notes.
Bengals?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Bengals. My bad. Just the 2 B's back and forth. I just confused myself in the same division. Maybe the Bengals. The Bengals might. What's their schedule looking like at the end of the season?
All right. Well, I'm with you on. I obviously had the Ravens winning the division, so I got the Steelers as the top wild card. Chargers next wild card. I could see that get flipped, but I'm gonna stick with the Steelers at 5 right now because they're just playing all around great ball, and I feel like they've been a little more tested than the Chargers. But the Bengals they're at the Chargers this week. Then they host the Steelers. Then they got 2 winnable games here on the road at Cowboys, at Titans. Then they host the Browns, host the Broncos, at the Steelers.
Yeah, maybe. They got.
I think it's going to come down to that Broncos at Bengals in the second to last week of the season. I think that's going to be your big determining factor right there. If the Broncos defense is still humming at that point, I think they can do enough to limit Cincinnati. But I think whoever wins that game, I think is right now, I would say that's who's going to make the playoffs.
These are the teams you can just disqualify from making the playoffs this year, in my humble opinion. The Jaguars, they're out. The Titans, they're out. Raiders, they're out. Browns, they're out. Patriots and Jets, they're out. You can make a case for the Colts. You can make a case for the Broncos. You can make a case for the Bengals. You can make a case for the Dolphins since Adam seems to believe that they're again, but they're second in the division, so maybe yes. Uh, but I don't think it's gonna be hard for the playoff picture to stay the way it is right now.
Yeah. I lean Broncos. Bengals wouldn't shock me. I'm going to pick the Broncos because I'm picking them to win this weekend, and I'm picking them to beat the Chiefs in the last week of the season. So I think they're going to win enough games. I think someone's winning at least 9 games, and so I got the Dolphins out of it because I don't think they're going to win 9 games. So it's really Broncos, Bengals, and I'm just going to lean with what I've been going with. I think the Broncos got a little more balanced. They're more solid all around than the Bengals are. I feel like I can trust them as a team more. If the offense has a bad game, the defense might be able to pick it up. If the defense has a bad game, the offense can get it done. Whereas the Bengals, it's just got to be Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase,
trying
T.
to
Higgins
get it done
every game. Yeah.
It's a good point.
All right, so let's look at the NFC right now. We got the Lions leading the North as the 1 seed, Eagles leading the East as the 2 seed, Falcons as the 3 seed leading the South, and then the Cardinals at 6-4 leading the West. This stays the same? Go ahead.
Let's start with the North, because your division this year has been wild. Started off strong with all 4 teams having winning record, but now the Bears are slowly fading away. They're in the hunt still, but they're still, they're slowly going back. And like you said, we discussed earlier, they are running the gauntlet. So that's going to be tough for them to stay in playoff contention and win all those games, which I don't think they can. But when it comes to the 2 top teams, which are the Lions and the Vikings at this time, then you got the Packers, who are at 7th right now, Vikings being at 5, but second in the division. I believe the Packers are going to fall back.
Really?
I don't think the Packers are making the playoffs.
What makes you say that? Have you looked at the schedule?
I believe the 49ers are going to take their place.
Well, they got a big game coming up on the 24th here next week. So it's in Green Bay, but historically speaking, Kyle Shanahan has handled business against Matt LaFleur. So
yeah, I'm going with that. That's my pick. I think the Lions are going to win the division. There's no doubt about that. The Lions are going to stay there at number 1. Sorry, Vikings. But I think that's going to stay the way. I think the Vikings are going to make the playoffs at the wild card. There's no doubt about that if they continue to play as well as they're doing. And when it comes to the other divisions, the NFC East is, to me, the same as the AFC North. It's going to be in between 2 teams. The NFC North is between Steelers and Ravens. NFC East is going to be between the Eagles and Commanders. Either way could go happen. The Eagles might win. The Commanders might win. It's still up in the air. I'm going to be rooting for my Eagles to make it, but it's going to be tough right now it's a very close race there. The Cowboys and Giants are not making the playoffs at all. And when it comes to the South, the Falcons are number 1 right now. I believe the Falcons are going to stay there. I don't think the Falcons are going to lose that division. Panthers are not playing well, even though they have a 2-winning record streak. Saints just came back for a win after losing 7 straight games. Yeah, that's a lot of straight games to lose, man. 7 straight games. So, yeah, the Buccaneers, they have issues, injuries, all this stuff. Baker Mayfield might be great, but I don't think the Bucs are making the playoffs this year. And the West, you can make an argument that the 49ers might take the Cardinals' place. But I think the Cardinals are going to get it done. See, let me know what you see since you're scrolling through the schedules.
I'm just pulling everyone up right now and realizing exactly how many teams are in the playoff in the NFC, and it's like a lot, kind of.
Right now, like you said, Lions, Eagles, Falcons, Cardinals leading the divisions. Wild card, Vikings, Commanders, Packers, and then in the hunt, the Niners, the Bears still, the Rams, and the god-awful Seahawks.
This is going to be tough. Honestly, it's hard to pick because, like, if I'm just looking at the schedules and picking games, I'm picking a lot of ties, and I don't know what the tiebreakers are going to be. I got the Lions as the 1 seed for sure. I got the Eagles as my 2 seed, winning the East. I think I'm gonna. I don't know who I like in the. I think the West is going to be the 3 seed because the Cardinals have a fairly favorable schedule. They got 2 Seahawks games. They do go to Minnesota, but then they have the Patriots, the Panthers, Rams, and 9. I guess it's not super favorable, but I'm going to pick the 49ers to win their division. I think the 49ers are going to win 11 games.
All right.
And they're going to be the 3 seed. Falcons are going to be the 4 seed. Then I think the Vikings, let's look at their schedule. They should beat the Titans. They should, if I'm going to be generous, they'll split with the Bears, split with the Packers. I like them at home against the Cardinals and the Falcons, but they're at 7 wins. If you beat the Titans, that's 8 wins. You get one of the Bears games, that's 9 wins. They should beat Seattle in Seattle because the 12s just are not out this year. So that's 10 wins. So then you got Packers, Lions, Cardinals, Falcons to get to 11 wins, basically. So like the Vikings to me are at least an 11-win team. I look at the Packers schedule. I think they're an 11-win team. They got the Saints on here. They got the Seahawks on here. They got 2 Bears games, so they're going to get at least one of those. They got the Dolphins. I think they lose to the 49ers. I think they lose again to Detroit in Detroit. But I think the Green Bay Packers are 11-5. I think
Take the Niners though.
I think the split would have the Vikings getting the edge. So I think we're going to have Vikings at Kirky Boy and the Atlanta Falcons in the first round of the playoffs. And then I think we got the Packers as I don't know. How would they split? Because I do kind of like the oh man, this is an exercise here. Because then you look at the Commanders, they got a Cowboys game, they got 2 Cowboys games, they got a Titans game on here, they got a Saints game on here. That's 3 to 4 wins right there. There might be an 11-6 team that doesn't make the playoffs in the NFC. Like that's actually possible. It's crazy.
It's a tough division this year.
I don't know, man. I know the Vikings are in a pretty good spot tiebreaker wise. The Rams are the biggest threat to them because that's the only one they lost to, but I don't know. I can't even – I'm going to say 49ers win the division, Vikings, Packers make the playoffs, and man, let me look at the Commanders' schedule again. If they lose this Eagles game, boom, boom. Nah, they got too many winnable games here in a row.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the Commanders. And I don't feel great about it because I think the Buccaneers could win 10 games and miss the playoffs. The Cardinals are really good right now. I think that Cardinals-Vikings game is going to be like monumental. Like that could be a game that one of those teams ends up as like the 5 seed and the other team ends up as not in the playoffs. Or that swings the division for the Cardinals. Who knows?
The NFC this year has been extremely, extremely difficult to figure out. There's a lot of good teams in there right now. And they're doing really good. I mean, you're seeing it right now. You're looking at the schedule, so you're seeing, man, a lot of teams could be 11 or 10 win teams. You know, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I mean, the Bears are not gonna be it. I'm sorry, the Bears are gonna lose most of the games in this gauntlet, if not all of them. So they're in the hunt right now, but that's gonna change quick. Rams, they're in the hunt. I don't think they're gonna make it playoffs. So. Seahawks in the hunt. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, though. 49ers, you call them winning the West. I still think the Cardinals are going to win the West, but I still think the Packers are going to miss out, and the 49ers are going to be in their place.
Yeah, we'll see. I honestly, like the AFC, I feel pretty confident in predicting right now. It's like Broncos or
Because it's
Bengals is the only
trash.
debate. The NFC is just like I have absolutely no idea.
Because
So
the AFC is trash.
it's
Trash.
NFC is gonna be fun to watch. I'm not happy about it, but I mean, if the Vikings handle their business the next few weeks, I could be a little more at ease about it. But this shit is a gauntlet, and I feel bad for the Bears because I feel like they play all of these teams,
Yeah, it's a
and they're
very.
probably going to lose to most of them.
I mean, I don't know why they schedule all the divisional games at the end of the year for them. That's fucked up, but shit
Gauntlet,
happens.
dude. Yeah.
Hey, I know about gauntlets. We faced the gauntlet last season. It almost went our way until that 49ers game. So
Well, that's the playoffs. I'm sure we'll revisit. Let's revisit this like 3 or 4 weeks out of the playoffs when it's a
yeah.
little more clear and things shake out, and maybe we'll get a little more solid predictions in the NFC. But do you have any other non-pick predictions for us this week?
Well, I predicted last week that McCaffrey was going to get a touchdown. That did not happen. I also predicted that Travis Kelce wasn't going to do shit. He did get a touchdown. Um, did he? I don't know. I can't
Yes,
remember.
he did.
Yeah.
On fourth down.
Yeah. See? Yeah. I have no other predictions besides the one that I made earlier today, where I said, what was it that I said? Fuck. I forgot what it was.
They watched the whole episode. They know.
Yeah, well, whatever that prediction was that I did not write down, but I predicted it's gonna happen. I don't have anything else predicted right now. I'm just gonna enjoy this week's games because, like I said, there's a couple of great games, 4 divisional games. Then we got the Eagles Commanders tomorrow, which is going to be a fun game to watch with those two teams going at it. Then you got on the early slate, we got the Ravens and Steelers. On the afternoon slate, we got the Chiefs and Bills. Sunday Night Football, Vegas and Chargers. And then we can just watch the Texans, obliterate the Cowboys on Monday night just after work. It's going to be a fun week.
You know what that Texans Cowboys Monday Night Football game smells like to me?
What?
Smells like I'm watching Monday Night Raw, baby. I ain't watching that shit. Texans gonna handle business there. But like you said, ton of great games this week. If your team is not playing, they're at any of these time slots, there's a great game to watch. Thursday night, Commanders and Eagles. 1 p.m. you got the Ravens Steelers game. Then
big rivalry. Big rivalry.
Huge rivalry. Always a good. Do I miss the 6-3 games that they would have 10, 15 years ago? Just fantastic. Chiefs Bills in the late afternoon, and then Bengals Chargers. Big wild card implications here as we're kicking off the back half of the season. So good shit to watch this weekend.
It's football galore.
All right. Well, another highly successful episode. I'm sure it's going to get tens of thousands of views. I am Kyle. He is Caesar. We're all football heads. And until next time, take it easy.
God bless football.